sea, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, I'm proud to be American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave their rights to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this flag. God bless the USA, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this flag. God bless the
Y'all remain standing. I don't know whether you've ever seen the Texas Tenors in person. It was very, if you get a chance, go see it. It's better in person, much better in person. Y'all join me in invocation, please. Father, we want to thank you for the refreshing rain today. Thank you for providing it, refreshing not only our soul, but our spirits as well. We thank you for this time. It's finally here, Lord. We thank you for all the preparation, for all the folks who planned and worked hard, and now the folks that are voting. We ask your blessings on each and every person who has not voted. May they see the light and choose to vote the right way. Amen.
Okay, we'll do the national anthem now.
Oh, say that you see my luxury life, what so proudly we hail, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose rust lights and bright stars through the perilous fight, for the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming.
Okay, now join me in the pledge. And now the Texas pledge. Can they sit down and eat, Clayton? Y'all can sit down. I thought you sounded really good. Then I remembered there was recording going on too.
Thank you, and have your seat. I would like to welcome members, sponsors, guests, and candidates. Yes,
We are the reddest club in the reddest state, and it is a Heritage Ranch Republican Club. Thank you for being here tonight. Today has been a great day. First of all, the much needed rain that we've needed, as Ben mentioned, bless the earth, and we thank the Lord for that. Second, the first day of voting in the general election, absentee. Just a minute, I'd like for you, if you would, if you voted today, would you please stand? Great, great. Just remember, if you didn't today, you got more chances. So be sure and vote. And as they say, vote all the way down. The first person on each of the individual ballot.
Vote early and vote often.
You are here among fellow Republicans that have some Republican beliefs that are conservative. And thank you for being here.
Yeah, he was one of the
You might not recognize that Jack is not here. If you have problems with the eyesight or your earsight, or you can't hear, you're okay. Jack is ill tonight, and he's asked me to welcome you here tonight. I am Clayton Barnes, and I am the Director of Marketing and Communications for the club. We have an action-packed program tonight, and I hope that you will experience a great, great time being here. Thank you all for coming, and at this time I'm going to turn it over to Ben, and he's going to go into the election process. Ben?
Clayton stole my thunder. So I'm going to ask a different question. Some of you voted. Some of you voted by mail. Have your neighbors voted? Has your family voted? Has your distant cousin voted? Folks, we need everyone to turn out this election. You can see the date, the times. You've got early voting for a couple of weeks and then election day. So stay tuned. We'll be reporting the results. Watch for it on the website, but you may get an email or two about the results as we move through. And candidates, while I'm sitting here talking a little bit, if you want to make your way toward the backstage door, we'll start our candidate call here in a couple of minutes and give you the stage. Just the candidates that are not on the program. They'll get plenty of time whenever we start the program to tell you about themselves. So candidates and elected officials, if you'll make your way to the backstage, we'll do a little candidate call. And Henry, no, you're not the only one. You can come up this side, Henry. You don't have to go in the back door. I will say, Ken Loxton was going to be here tonight, but he's ill as well. So you have to pitch hit for the Ken. I don't know. I saw Larry a little earlier, so he's here. So happy. Part of your council is here. Go.
Well, good evening. It's a great day in Fairview, Texas, and it's exciting to see all these candidates here. I hope you do like I do when you go out to the polls and you look at. It's really easy to vote this year. You just check off the first one in each category. It works really easy. So, anyway, thank you all for being here. God bless everyone.
Hi, I'm Candy Noble, and I'm honored to serve you in the Texas House of Representatives. I am blessed to be unopposed this time. I think my Democrat forgot to file, and I'm okay with that. But I want to remind you, vote for every Republican on the ballot. And because if you won't vote for a Republican you don't know, you're going to get a Democrat you don't want.
Good afternoon, Heritage Ranch. My name is Sammy Knapp. I'm Constable in Collin County Precinct 3. I'd like you to keep the Dallas family and the Carrollton Police family in your prayers for the 2 losses we've had this week. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Randy Johnson. I am honored and looking forward to being your next judge at Collin County Court at Law Number 5. I'm unopposed. I do not have, they've declared me a winner, but we're out working hard to get the rest of you elected. I appreciate everything you're doing. Look forward to representing you and to getting all of our Republicans elected.
Howdy, I'm Larry Little. I'm on the Fairview Town Council seat 4. And let's beat the hell out of the Democrats.
That's a good way to end our little candidate call. All right. And we'll have the next slide. We've got to do a little business tonight. So I'm going to call the meeting to order for business and ask Rich DiVirgilio to come to the stage, and Rich is going to bring the report of the nominating committee. So Rich.
Thank you, Ben. At the last Republican dinner on September 18th, Ted Kuches, our past president, outlined the process for nominating individual candidates, as you can see on the screen here, for the upcoming board vacancies. Board positions will be available for a 2-year term. We can show the second slide. As of October 18th, the nominating committee, which consisted of Bob Seahorn, Mike Petrick, Georgina Forsick, and Al Malello, approved the following slate of candidates. Now, final nominations can come from the floor.
You see the slate that's here that the nominating committee has brought to us. Are there any other nominations for any of these positions from the floor? This is known as the pregnant pause, where I wait for nominations. Okay. Hearing none, then I will declare the nominations ceased, and next month we will vote on this slate of candidates according to our bylaws. So thank you for this little bit of business. It's over with now, and you go back to enjoying your dinner. Thank you.
But it happened this way. Jack was supposed to bring Gail up here to talk about the Allen food drive. So she's coming up talking about future events, which will be the Allen Pantry food drive, which will start next week. Gail?
Good evening, everybody. I get to come once a year and talk to you about the Allen Ministerial Alliance food drive, which Heritage Ranch has been doing this for several years, and Clay and I have worked on it, chairing it for many years. This is done in memory and in honor of Mike Glasgow. Many of you remember Mike. Mike started this years ago. It was small when we started. Now it's turned into something really, really big that we're very proud of. So I want to tell you that on November 6th, Arts and Crafts Room is where you can bring your donations. I have a huge committee of great volunteers that will be working to sort and then deliver all those food items to the food pantry, which is located behind St. Jude's. I want to tell you that it's not just members of St. Jude who benefit from this. There are many churches that are involved. That's why it's the Ministerial Alliance. So be confident that churches in the area will be distributing food to needy people. This year they're asking us for some very specific things. Usually, I hope the peanut butter didn't slow us down. Okay. So we had a great peanut butter drive here not too long ago. You can still bring peanut butter, but there are a lot of other items that they've asked for. They're wanting to fill Thanksgiving baskets. I don't know how it's going to go with turkeys this year. Last year they bought turkeys, but that's sort of up in the air. So look at this. We need Jell-O, canned green beans, dried onions, turkey gravy mix, canned sweet potatoes, canned fruit, cornbread stuffing, cornbread mix, boxed potatoes. You can see all the different items that would be suitable. Remember, there are many children in these families. One thing we often need would be evaporated milk and dried milk. Many of these think about these families. Some of them don't have access to coffee makers, things that we take for granted. So think about families who are needy and what you bring. We ask that everything be in date because the volunteers have to sort every item by date. We cannot give them any items that are out of date. Also, we cannot give any unopened packages to them. So please remember that. That helps us a lot because we do have to go through every item. We check it, we put it in different bins, and then we transport it to the Allen Food Pantry. So we appreciate you so much for helping us with this. We want to have, last year I think we had probably, I'm thinking 12 or 15 truckloads and SUV loads packed. So this year we want to do even better. So Heritage Ranch, come through for us this year. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gail. Now, yes.
Heritage Ranch, there is a competition every year that I participate in against the other mayors in Collin County. And it's the peanut butter contest. We support the North Texas Food Bank. Tricia Cunningham, the CEO, lives in Summerhill Farms up here in Fairview. With Heritage Ranch help this year, Heritage Ranch by themselves, by the way, 1.5 tons of peanut butter were sent down there. I lifted them up multiple times. Anyway, thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Henry. And this is a contributing factor of Heritage Ranch and giving. Upcoming events that we have is the National Defense Briefing, which is a space warfare. It's on the line. You can go online and you can register now. It's, again, December the 11th. Then our next dinner meeting is going to be the 21st of November. It'll be the Republican celebration. And we're all going to celebrate, right? Hey, there you go. The speaker is going to be Dr. Dana Myers, who's the vice chair of the Republican Party of Texas. If you would change.
Say next slide.
Christmas dinner. Christmas dinner. Be ready for it. It's the 12th. You have to be a member to attend. All members are invited. Okay. We've done this before, and we are creating a straw poll. And the straw poll will be put on the website. It'll be under the presidential straw poll. You have to sign on in order to register your particular president and vice president. We will announce the straw poll in the December meeting. So if you have an interest in what you feel like is your contribution to the president and the vice president for the 2024 election, look forward to that being available. And And with that, we're going to turn it over. If the speakers would come up as Joan comes up and get ready for the presentation. So all those who are here to, there we go.
Would you come up, please, and take your place at your table? You can come by the back or the front. Okay. While they get into place, can you hear me? While they get into place, I just wanted to say a few things. Find your place, please. We started this year with candidates, but they weren't this kind, exactly. It was the primary, and we had many meetings, and it was, you know, it was always wondering, well, are you kind of getting tired of all these candidates? But we have to get to know them in order to vote properly. And I think by now, you've come to know them, but we keep getting newer people here, coming into Heritage Ranch, moving from different places, so we can't take anything for granted. And although our ballot, the precinct 179, has a lot more than 5 candidates, we thought it wouldn't be really the best thing to do is to invite some from farther away to come and, through the rain, we didn't know that though, and appear here for a short talk. So we concentrated on 6 actually. And the reason why I say 6, because one of our candidates could not make it. And we didn't want to leave her out because it's extremely important. So before they begin, I will just direct your attention to the screen, and you'll notice Kristina Williams, candidate for Justice, 5th Court of Appeals, place 7, and Emily Miskel, same court. And I do want to tell you that when we started out as a club here, that entire court was Republican. Guess how many Republicans are left? I think it's 0, right? 2, okay. 2. But they are dwindling. So we must get in back of every candidate, and I didn't want to leave Kristina's name out, and I think we have a photograph of her later on, just so that you know that there are 2 candidates for that court that we need to vote for. So right now, we're going to start off with Mike Gould and Emily Miskel, and they will have, I said, up to 6 minutes, I told you. So feel free to tell us about your position, why it's so important that you get voted in. We all know it's important, but we want to hear it again and again so that we can tell our friends and relatives to get out and vote. And after they are finished, we'll go to Chris Hill, Pam Little, and Keith Self. So we'll begin. Now, I did bring my little bell, but it's a friendly bell tonight. And it's only, I didn't bring the horn though. It's only in case you kind of go on, so we don't stay here all night, right? So I'll give you a little sign if that's necessary. But the first one will be Mike Gould, conservative for district clerk. You can wander around, walk, you know, do anything you want to get their attention.
And so I can even ask the audience some questions and just to make sure that you guys understand who I am or add questions about that. First off, my name is Mike Gould, as Joan said, but I have been here at Heritage Ranch several times. I am a member of Heritage Ranch Republican Club, by the way. So thank you very much for having us all here tonight again. I think this is one of the first places I announced my candidacy was here at Heritage Ranch. It's such a great welcoming crowd. It's also one of those places where I met Sue Reeves, who has been instrumental in my campaign as far as making sure that the word got out there about who I am, what I was running for, and why I was running. I am running, and I am your Republican candidate for district clerk here in Collin County. I did defeat the incumbent in the primary, and I'm looking to go into the district clerk's office, and just by a show of hands, I just want to take a quick survey. Who is familiar with what the district clerk's office is responsible for? If you could just raise your hands if you know what the district clerk's office does. Yeah, that's what I thought. Very few. So again, everybody gets confused. So they're like, oh, Mike Gould, you're running for clerk in Collin County, therefore you must be the county clerk. No, that's different. So the district clerk is really responsible for maintaining the court records. So anything that's filed into the district courts goes into the district clerk's office. It's filed there, it's kept, it's archived, and it's maintained. It's here for judges, such as Judge Miskel, to access at any time, and also that she can pull that up, and then also if there's any changes to those documents, then they can be made and then put back into the district clerk's office and maintained and filed there. So the security of those records is key, and it's one of those things that the district clerk's office is responsible for in this county as it grows. So understand that's one of the reasons why I'm running. I'm a hard worker. I'm there to work every day with every clerk in the office to make sure those records are maintained, to make sure that it's done accurately and effectively. The court caseload, I should say, is very large, and so there's a lot of documents coming into and out of those courts every day. So it's the district clerk's job to make sure that it's done in such a manner that it's organized and effective. One of the other responsibilities the district clerk's office has is that of jury pooling. So if you've ever been called to jury service in Collin County, guess what? That's the district clerk's office doing that. And we want to get back on track with that because obviously 2020 threw us for a big loop. So it hurt the jury pooling, and we want to get that back up and get that going well. So the jury wheel is again one of those things that we can tap into and make that accessible to our courts. The other important function of the district clerk's office that we lost in 2019 definitely was the passport processing in Collin County. So Collin County processed 40,000 passports a year, putting about $1 million into the general fund in Collin County. Well, that office was closed, and it came under the district clerk's office. There were some investigations done, and it was basically, to my understanding, and this is how I came about running for this office, is last year I went to apply for a passport. Never needed one before. Decided I was going to travel with my daughter. We were going to get on a cruise ship and go out of the country. So when I went to apply for that passport, well, guess what? We went to the Collin County District Clerk's office. It was located, I live in Plano, so it was located just off a park there, right before you get to Avenue K. Well, there's a big sign on the door that says this office is now closed, and that was the passport office. And I thought to myself, well, why is it closed? And so I went to do my research. When I did my research online, there was nothing I found that told me why it was closed. I really had to dig to find out. I've been in radio broadcasting for 30 years, and I'm a producer, a radio producer. So what I do is I fact find. I dig in and find facts. And when I looked into why the district clerk's office lost the passport office, to me it was just, I didn't understand why. It just seemed to me that there was an investigation that went on, but then there was no real answers given. Well, being that I'm a Collin County resident and a grassroots activist for a long time, since 2000, that was not good enough for me. So I said, I've got to do something about this. And that's when I stood up and said, you know what, I'm going to run for this office because of the fact that there's got to be somebody that can do this better. And that's what I did. As I went in and said, we're going to get these passport offices reopened. We're going to make sure this is a function again of the district clerk's office. Make sure that this is a viable thing that the district clerk can do as well. So again, these are the functions of the district clerk's office that maybe you didn't know about, that I wanted to highlight to everybody. One of the important factors of this election is, guess what? I'm a down ballot candidate. Judge Hill, once you see his name, I'm right below him on every ballot. And here's the problem. Is that a lot of people look at, they'll vote for Keith Self for Congress. They'll vote for Emily Miskel for judge. She's above there. But once you get down to Chris Hill, anything below that, we find that a lot of people do no votes, they undervoted, and that's a problem. Because guess what? This position is low-hanging fruit for Democrats. If they see any seat in this county they can take advantage of, it's going to be this one. And I'm too much of a conservative to let that happen. So we're not going to let that happen here in Collin County. And I'd really appreciate your vote, obviously, but more than that is to get information out there to everybody to make sure they understand that it's important to vote down ballot, all the way down the ballot, for every candidate. Guess what? It's real easy this time around. And you know why? Because in the general election, every Republican is listed first on your ballot. If you've not seen the ballots yet, that's how it's all listed. It's every Republican is listed first. All you gotta do is check off the first name you see. That makes it pretty simple. All the way down. When you get to the props, vote how you feel on the props. I can't tell you on that one. But I can tell you that as far as every name on the ballot, the first one listed all the way down until you get to the very, very end. Which I think the very last one, or constable maybe, I don't know in this precinct, but it might be justice of the peace. Is it constable? Okay, so there you go. So once you get to constable, check off constable, and you made it all the way down the ballot. That way you know that you've marked off every Republican. So again, that's what I do. My background, I've got over 20 years in managing people, processes, and systems, and I'm talking 300 people, $20 million budgets. The district clerk's office is 75 employees, $5 million budget. So I've got the capability and leadership to do this as well. Thank you very much, by the way, for having us here tonight, and please vote all the way down the ballot. Thank you.
All right, I see a lot of friends in this room, so I know that some of you know me already, but for those of you that don't yet know me, first I'm going to introduce myself, talk a little bit about my qualifications, and then I'll talk about why the Court of Appeals is such an important race to vote Republican. So my name is Emily Miskel. A little bit of background, my college degree, I have a mechanical engineering degree from Stanford. I mention that because out of college I worked in our energy industry. I used to design and build oil and gas pipelines. I think it's important for judges to understand our Texas economy and to understand business. So I just like talk about that. I used to actually wear a hard hat to work and steel-toed boots, so I much prefer working in air conditioning now. So quite a step up for me. After working for several years, I decided to go back to law school. I got my law degree at Harvard, and I practiced here in Collin County, going to court a lot, and decided that I would like to apply to be judge of a newly created court. So back in 2015, due to the growth of our county, we got some new courts, and Governor Greg Abbott appointed me to be the judge of the 470th District Court. And you have re-elected me to that bench 2 times, so thank you for that. I am double board certified, so a large group of the cases that I hear are family law cases and child welfare CPS cases. And so I've become board certified in both of those areas. One of the few attorneys in the state, under 50 attorneys in Texas are board certified in both of those areas. I brought some stats for you, that's why I have my cards, because I didn't want to flub these numbers. So this fiscal year, we just closed out a fiscal year. This fiscal year, my case closure rate was 101%. That means I closed more cases than came in. So we're a highly efficient court. 92% of my cases are disposed of in under 1 year, and less than 2% of my cases take longer than 18 months. So all these stories that you hear about cases dragging on for years and years, that's not in my court. That's not how we handle things. Every day I'm at work, I basically have to resolve almost 9 cases. So I get 2,000 cases a year. That means I gotta dispose of 2,000 cases. That means every day I show up, I dispose of 9 cases. Let me talk about the thing I'm most proud of. During COVID, March 2020, everybody remembers where we were. We thought we were just gonna, cancel our cases for the week and then pick right back up where we left off, and turns out that wasn't the case. If you look across our nation, courts in California, courts in New York, they just shut down. They stopped taking new filings, they just closed and went home. Our Texas courts didn't do that, and specifically our Collin County courts stayed open throughout the pandemic. During the pandemic, I was your administrative judge of Collin County. We were the first county to test virtual trials. I did the first remote trial in the state of Texas, the first virtual jury trial in the world. Not because I like experimenting for the sake of experimenting, but because people need justice, and you can't close the courts to people's very important disputes that need to be resolved. And so your Collin County judges worked hard throughout the entire pandemic. As a result of that, we have no pandemic backlog. We are caught up. If you see the same headlines I do from Dallas County, that's not the case everywhere. And so that's why I'm passionate about running for the Court of Appeals. For the Court of Appeals, we need judges who show up to work and work hard every day and close cases and be efficient and get things resolved in a timely manner. Court of Appeals, the importance of this position is if you have a trial in a court and you think the judge did something wrong, messed up the process, got the law wrong, you have the chance to appeal it to a higher court who takes those appeals from all 6, in our case, 6 counties, and has a chance to correct what the judge did if the judge got it wrong. And so this is what I tell people, you can get all the wonderful laws passed in Austin that you want, but if judges don't follow them, if judges don't believe the words of the law mean what they say, right, what have you gained? And so you need judges at every level, trial court, Court of Appeals, Supreme Court, who will read the law, apply the words just as they were put in place by the legislature in Austin and not legislate from the bench. And unfortunately, as we see, that's not the case with every judge, and the Court of Appeals is the court that can correct those errors. One of the other things that I'm the most proud of in my time of service is my efforts for transparency. So courts can seem mysterious to people, right? We don't always feel like we know what goes on in courts, especially the Court of Appeals. That's even mysterious to most attorneys. During my time as a judge, I've held Zoom office hours open to the public for you to ask me questions, not about your case, but just about how do courts work? How do I file things? How does evidence work? What are the laws on this topic? And I'm happy to discuss that. I think that judges should be a part of their community. They should be answerable to the people who elect them, and you should have a chance to find out what we do. I would like to bring those same efforts to the Court of Appeals, to have some transparency and some interaction with the public and with attorneys on the work of that court, and to eliminate some of the mystery of it. So I think that covers my talking points. Hopefully I can give some time back. But what I would say is, please vote for me, because I'll show up, I'll work hard, I know the law, I'll apply it just the way it's written, and I'll do the work that you'll send me there to do. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to say one more thing about the Court of Appeals. We are voting in Cullen County, Dallas County, and 4 other counties. Now, what is that telling you? Dallas County is loaded with Democrats. That is one of the reasons why, to get a Republican back in there, it's been very hard. So it's so important. If you have any friends, relatives, anyone that's in that area, please tell them to vote Miskel and Williams. It's really important. We've got to get them back in. Thank you. Chris Hill, yes, you're next.
Well, good evening. I'm Chris Hill. I currently serve as your Collin County Judge, and it is delightful to be with you. I was getting to talk with Joan over dinner, and we figured out it's been about 12 years since I first met Heritage Ranch, when I ran for County Commissioner for the first time, and got to know so many of you, and I realized, so it feels like home for me just being here with you in this group. There's some of you here that I might not have met, and even those that know me might not know my whole story, so I thought I'd share a little bit of background with you tonight and some of my time. I thought I'd tell you that today, October 24th, is 1 week shy of a really important anniversary for me. You see, back in high school, when I was a sophomore in high school, I had a friend from high school invite me to attend church. Now that was a big deal because I didn't attend church. And when they told all the students, you need to pick somebody out from school that you think needs to come to church, they obviously thought of me. And they invited me, and I went that night. And that was the night that I first heard the gospel message and met the Lord. And it was also the night that I met this beautiful, striking young lady from across the room, another high school student, that I would spend the next 7 years chasing to make her my wife. And so let me introduce to you my wife who's with me tonight, Laura. Laura and I have been... So 1 week from today, on October 31st, I will celebrate 32 years, the 32nd anniversary of actually coming to faith, and meeting my bride, and I would spend the next 7 years chasing her, like I said. We've now been married 25 years, so I appreciate that. It's fun to tell that story. It's always fun for me this time of year when fall comes around, just to remember back on what an important evening that was for me. Now, I kept going to church after that. I had to continue to woo her, and I had to continue to grow in faith. And in fact, after college, I went into ministry. I started off my career in ministry. For 7 years, I was a pastor. And then finally moved on into the corporate world as a corporate accountant. And did both of those before I ran to be your county commissioner. And I tell people often that it's hard sometimes looking forward to see how God is working in our lives. But oftentimes when we look back, we can see how He knits the chapters and the stories of our life together. And for me, I'm so grateful for the experiences I've had, both in ministry and both in the corporate world. In the corporate world, I served as a certified public accountant, a corporate accountant, and I use those skills, both those ministry skills and those accounting skills, today as your county judge. Now, I'm not a judge like Judge Johnson is, or like Judge Miskel is. I often tell people that I'm the one judge that's not a real judge. I'm not an attorney, and I don't settle cases, and I don't get to wear a black robe. But in Texas, our county judge is like the mayor of the county or the CEO of the county, and my job is administrative. From day to day, I'm helping run the county as an organization. So you might see how the connections of my other skills have served me well in this role. But even then, still, oftentimes, the county judge position is one of those that we really don't know much about. It's one of perhaps the most confusing positions, elected official offices that we have in Texas. And it wasn't really until 2020 that most of us even started to pay attention to what the county judge is. I know when my predecessor was in office, you didn't pay any attention, did you? But of course, I followed the best county judge in Texas. And then 2020 came, and I had to learn that role. And I got tested on how I was going to lead this county. I remember in early 2020 when I got that text from our public health director telling me that we had our first case of COVID in Collin County. Now, that was the second case of COVID in the state of Texas. And that was kind of a big deal for us. And now it seems like something that we're familiar with. But in early 2020, we didn't know how contagious it was, how dangerous it was. And we didn't know what the days ahead were going to look like. And I remember talking to the other county judges here in North Texas. We'd speak often by phone as we were trying to sort out how best to lead our communities. And my colleague to the south in Dallas County let me know over the phone that he was about to shut his county down, tell everybody they had to go home and stay home. And I had to wrestle with that responsibility as your county judge and how to lead well, but also the responsibility as someone who took an oath to defend the Constitution. And so I wrestled with that for several days before it was my turn at the podium, and I announced that in Collin County we weren't going to shut down, and that we weren't going to make lists of who was essential and who wasn't essential, but foundationally for us in Collin County, every Texan is essential. And I'll tell you, I was nervous in those early days because I didn't want to make the wrong decision, but I also knew wrong decision from a health standpoint. I wanted to make sure that we all did what we could to stay healthy and to stay safe. But I just knew at a deeper level that if the government could ever step into your life and tell you that you're not essential, if the government could ever say you didn't make the list, you can't work and you can't provide for your family, then we've already lost what's so dear to all of us: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that's what I took an oath to stand up for. And I really felt like that was what I had to defend first and foremost. So we began to learn a lot more about what the county judge does through that episode and through my first term. And it's been a great pleasure to do that for you and to serve in that role. We see that the other party here in the United States has got an entirely different view of how they would like to see our culture and our society ordered and organized. And even in our local races, we see the differences very starkly. We look at the border, We look at our schools and our education. We look at our economy. We look at inflation, our monetary policy, our financial policies. It really is a stark difference between those who have a set of liberal values and those who have a set of conservative values. And so the decisions we make at the ballot box are incredibly important. And I appreciate that you're so involved and engaged, and that this community turns out to vote and to have a voice. I appreciate that. You do have a tremendous community here in Heritage Ranch, and I know you're proud of your community, and you're proud of your precinct, and you're proud of the town of Fairview, and you should be. It truly is remarkable. And I know you're proud of our state as well, and that we continue to lead well across the country. And so I thank you for supporting us. I thank you for being active, and I ask that you would support us, if you didn't already get a chance to today, then in the next 2 weeks, make sure you get out to vote for us. With all the Republicans on your ticket, so we can continue to keep it that way here in Texas, keep it conservative here in Fairview and in Heritage Ranch. I look forward to answering questions later, but I'll yield the rest of my time back to you.
Well, we won't be doing a regular Q&A, actually, so, but you'll be available perhaps?
I will look forward to answering your questions later on the floor.
Yeah, that's fine, yes.
But I'll yield the rest of my time back. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Yes, go ahead. The next speaker, Pam Little, State Board of Education, District 12.
Thank you, Joan. And, you know, while Chris said this feels like home, this is home to me. I've lived in Fairview for 20 years, and as you heard Larry earlier, he serves on the Fairview Town Council. And yes, with 2 politicians in the family, we fight over who gets to talk. But I've been honored to serve you on the State Board of Education. I've been serving as the vice chair. And tonight I wanted to tell you a little bit about what's been happening on the State Board, some of the accomplishments that I'm very proud of, that the board and I have accomplished, and what is up next. One of the things that is great for me is my district got changed drastically with redistricting. I went from a 49% red district to a 60% red district. There are 15 members on the State Board of Education, and with a population of 30 million, that means that each one of us represent 2 million people. So my district now goes from Gainesville and Cook County all the way to Texarkana, all of Collin County, the northern third of Denton County, Hunt County, and Hopkins County. And I'm thrilled to have it. I drove out to Texarkana recently and I was smiling the whole way because it was just the red line all the way out there. It was great and had great visit with those people out there. One of the things that's on the board, the board currently is made up of 9 Republicans and 6 Democrats. One of our Republicans will frequently vote with the Democrats, so we have had some very tight votes, some 8 to 7 votes. We are hoping to pick up a very conservative African-American gentleman from Jamaica out of Corpus. The retiring Democrat even feels like that he may win. So that would put us with a 10-5 situation on the board, which would be a nice comfort level for that. So that's where the board is now. The other thing that the board does a lot of, and some of you may not know this, but we do a lot with the standards. And what do I mean by standards? The standards that we approve by law, every student in this state has to learn. So that's one of the things that makes our job so important, and so important that we keep those conservative values on that board. And for the last 4 years I've been on the board, I have seen those values be challenged greatly. And it's been a fight to the finish to keep them in there. And some of you may, I heard from many of you during the social studies draft standards, when we were looking at the drafts. And I kind of wanted to tell you a little bit about my thoughts on that. What we saw is we saw the writing team come back with some proposed standards that I thought were totally age inappropriate. As an example, for the 4th grade, one of the standards was the students shall demonstrate an understanding of the role of the Catholic Church during the Crusades to rid North Africa of the infidels from 3 different perspectives: feudal Europe, the Byzantine Empire, and the Islamic religion. 4th grade. That was just, that was just way too much. 50% of the standards at grades 3 through 5 dealt with world religion. To me, that was an inappropriate thing to do at grade 3 through 5. The other thing that I didn't like about those standards, in kindergarten, the students were expected to learn about world money. We hadn't even taught them U.S. money. So, and another problem with those standards is they were not going to get any U.S. history until the 6th grade. So those were some of the reasons that I felt like we could not move forward with those standards. It was my motion to set those standards aside and to come back and spend some time investigating where we need to go with those. And my Democrat colleagues were not happy with me, let me just say that. It was interesting when we got ready to take the vote on that. As I said, I'm the vice chair, I sit by the chair, and we looked up, and there were several members that had stepped out, and the Democrats did a walkout on us. So we took the vote immediately because we had a quorum. So that worked out well for us. But that's an example of why it's important that you have the person with the right mentality on that State Board of Education, because otherwise, and I want to tell y'all too, that educators were absolutely against us. I mean, I would get emails from the educators saying, these things are a mess, stop it, quickly. Actually, the superintendent from Lovejoy called me personally and begged me to not approve those. So that's how bad they were. The other thing I wanted to talk to you a little bit about tonight is the accomplishments that we've made on the State Board of Education in the last 4 years. We have implemented a phonics program back into our reading standards. We have restored cursive writing to the curriculum. And this means that our students will be able to read the founding documents now because they will be able to understand cursive. They also will be able to have a signature. I had so many parents call me and say, you know, my child can't even sign their name. All they can do is print it. So those are some things that came back. We approved some science standards that we embedded engineering practices into. Yes. Because we really want to prepare our students for jobs of the future. And I think that's one of the things that I'm so passionate about and why I love serving on the State Board, is that's what I really want to do, is prepare our students to be successful. There's nothing more important than our students being successful. Another area where we have done a lot of work in that area is with our career and technology courses. We have over 800 career and technology courses. Now guys, back in our day, that was shop and home ec and auto mechanics. But now we have huge areas in the health field, robotics, fashion design, culinary, all these things that our students can leave high school and go out and make a really good income and support families. So that's exciting to me. We also, going back to what Emily said about the energy in the state, we approved a cluster of energy courses for career and technology. So that means our students can leave high school and know how to run the computers that run the oil wells. So those are important things that we do. We also, with our health standards, we embedded a lot of communication in them to help our students build better relationships. We've also added, we updated our dyslexia handbook so that more of our students can get help with dyslexia. And one of the things that I'm the most proud of, my background is educational publishing, and one of the things that I saw creeping into our curriculum, creeping into our schools, were national educational products that reflected the focus of the nation, which in Texas we try very hard to keep some of that out of it. Sometimes I think we need to build a wall on the Red River as well as the Rio Grande. What I want to see happen is, and we put this into our rules. Now when a publisher comes to Texas with an electronic product, which as you know a lot of them are, whether you agree with it or not, that's what's happening, you have to host that product on a Texas-specific website. So that means they can do whatever they want with their national website, but leave Texas alone. Kind of the don't mess with Texas, you know, this is the way it is. So those are some of the accomplishments that we've made that I'm very proud of. What's up next? I hope that our chair, it's Dr. Kevin Ellis out of Lufkin, will appoint an ad hoc committee to review the social studies framework so that we can get the right framework that we need for the students of Texas. We also are going to be reviewing our math standards. And what you need to know is that I firmly believe that it's important to get the right answer. So much of the math that's out there today is what I call fuzzy math. And it's just all about thinking about it and not actually getting the right answer. Another big issue for me coming up is to get more control for the state board over the instructional materials. Over the years, the legislature has taken away a lot of the authority of the state board over the instructional materials, and I think that's why we're having some of the problems we are today. As an example, in reading, last time we had the reading adoption, 25% of our districts adopted programs that were not approved by the state board because they could. So this is an issue that we really need to work on going forward. So what I want you to know about me is I love serving on the State Board of Education. I'm passionate about it. I firmly believe in American exceptionalism. My dad at 17, when he graduated from high school, joined the Navy, probably never seen an ocean before in his life. My grandparents had to give him permission, and I think about their sacrifice. They already had 2 sons and a son-in-law in World War II. So for those reasons, I will not rest until every student leaves their classroom believing that America is the greatest country in the world, Texas is the greatest state in the nation. God bless America, God bless Texas, and thank you for keeping Texas red.
Well, good evening, folks. My name is Keith Self. I think I know most of you in here. Tracy and I have been coming to Heritage Ranch for years, and I realize there are some new folks here. I'm going to be running for Congress. I have every expectation of being your congressman as of 3 January. And I appreciate your help. I went to West Point from Amarillo, grew up in the Panhandle. Started out in the Airborne Infantry, then Special Forces, but in Congress, my time in the U.S. Embassy in Cairo, Egypt, my time in the Pentagon, my time in NATO military headquarters, my time in the European Command in Stuttgart, Germany, then my time in the Central Command during Afghanistan and Iraqi freedom will stand me in better stead than my tactical time. We love to talk about our tactical time, our tactical stories, but frankly, it's those headquarters that are going to stand me in better stead when we start talking about how we need to fund the Department of Defense. Folks, if I had a deeper voice, I would right now ask you if you are ready to rumble. Because folks, that's what happens in the next 2 weeks. We are going to rumble against the party that has declared war on our fossil fuels, on our children, on our parents, on our families, on our faith, and on our history. This is important. I'm going to be going to Congress And I think everybody knows what Congress does, but let me just review a few things for you. First of all, the $31 trillion deficit. Debt. The deficit is different, but we have got to start getting a handle on that debt. We've got to, thank you, we have got to get a handle on our international relations. The world sees us as weak today, primarily and most recently from the disastrous debacle in Afghanistan. We are being tested by many people around the world. Because of that, we have got to reestablish the strength of the United States. And lastly, the moral insanity that is happening in our country. When I started this process 16 months ago, who would have thought that gay pride events would proliferate across Collin County? But that's exactly what's happening. In fact, the one on September 17th in Plano let kids under 12 in for free and then subjected them to a drag queen show and overt pornography and obscenity. Because of that, Toyota Corporation sponsored that very prominently, and because of that, I returned their check. I did not take their donation. I want to emphasize how important you are, Heritage Ranch. Yes, you ought to be proud of being the voting precinct that you are, the numbers, the percentage you turn out. But folks, you're not competing with the rest of Collin County. For these two multiple county candidates up here and every other multiple county candidate, you have to overcome Dallas County. You have to overcome the other big counties. We're the 6th largest county in Texas, and we have got to vote overwhelmingly. I want you to go get your grandkids, get your kids, everybody that's of voting age, go get them and get them to the polls for these multi-county candidates that we've got up here and many others. I'm going to tell you a story that I'm taking with me to Congress. Sam Johnson held this seat for 27 years, I think. Before he was in Congress, he was in the State House. And Gib Lewis, who was a Democrat speaker back in the 80s, made Sam Johnson a Republican chairman of a committee, along with a couple of others. Well, they obviously didn't do what Gib wanted, so Gib calls these Republican chairmen in one day, and he's just chewing them out. He's berating them. Well, it made Sam mad. If you remember, Sam had almost 7 years of torture in the North Vietnamese prison. So Sam goes over, and if you've ever shaken hands with Sam Johnson, I know many of you have, you didn't squeeze his hand because it was literally just a bag of bones. He goes over and he puts his hands on Gib's desk, and he looks at Gib Lewis. This man is berating him. And he looks at Gib and he says, "What are you going to do, Gib? Are you going to break my hands?" That's the attitude that I'm going to take with me to Congress. What can they do to me? Because I represent you in CD3. That's the story I'm taking with me. But I tell you, I met a 92-year-old veteran in Hunt County on Saturday while I was block walking. This 92-year-old veteran took my hand, and his hand's quite a bit bigger than mine. He almost crushed my hand. So it's still there. We still got to stand up for that. I tell you, and I'll close with this. Folks, I'm going to make one more deployment for my nation. I'm deploying to a place known simply as the Hill, Capitol Hill. I'm going to go in a suit, not in a uniform, but I want you to know that this is my last deployment for my nation, and I go to represent you just as I have on every other deployment that I've been on in my 25-year military career. Thank you very much. Let's go get it.
Thank you very much, and let's send them to victory.
Yes, I echo that. I think it's a wonderful time that we've had tonight. We've heard some mighty, powerful speech here. and we know that the heart is behind each one of them. So do not fail to vote, and get those in your family to vote also, because we need every vote, as Keith has said. In closing, thank you all for attending. It's been a great evening. We're letting you go early because Jack isn't here. Understand that? So, two things. One, every one of you have a badge. Leave it on the table. That way we won't have to come to your house and take it. Second of all, each one of these candidates have signs out in the lobby. If you want a sign to represent them and put in your yard, you're welcome to come by and see them. They will be around. Anyone who has any questions that they want to ferret out, be sure and take time. It's not 8:30 yet, so you can stay here another 30 minutes and talk to them. But thank you all for coming tonight, and have a good evening.